I'm there. I got a pop-up message. Suddenly YouTube wanted me to read. It says that Peruta can block people because she's a moderator. Just a moment. I have to open it up. Let's see. And hello, by the way. How cold is it where you are? It's very important that we share this in the chat. Also have to find out who's first. I'm just going to start so I can read the text easier. Happy Friday! No, happy Saturday. Today there is a Viking gathering in the village today. A dinner for a local Viking group. So happy party to them. I am going to be here instead because I drove out here last night and I didn't go to bed until like way late, and now I'm too tired. So this is what I'm going to do today. I might pop in later, but the idea of partying and drinking doesn't sound too appealing right now when I'm on lack of sleep. What are you guys' plans for the weekend? Are you partying? Good morning, Max. Max, you're early today. Yay. I'm going to play with the double curl stitch. I've never tried this one. I didn't even realize it was a thing, and I only listened to it for about a half a second. So from what I understand, there was a German lady who invented it, according to Sana's page, Neulackentata.fi. Right now I just have to find a needle. But it looks quite cool, actually, so I'm kind of wondering why I never tried it before. I thought I'd try something that wasn't in Finnish families or Russian families, something that's different. See. Now I have to find the correct needle. We'll use the juniper leaf, or one today. And how's your blue project going? I made maybe one more row on mine, and I of course forgot it in the other room. But my wrist warmers are now up to here. When Karl gets here, maybe I can go and... Oh, maybe it's in the car. No idea where I put it. I'm not together. It's winter vacation for Eastern Norway. So that means when I packed to come out here, I packed for not one day or not one weekend, but for 10 days. So naturally I can't remember where I put stuff. Anyway, so play with the Danish one. Now I have to see who's here. Now that I can see my screen. And it's very important to find out who's first. Let's see. There, we got the live chat on. Albert was first according to my log. Congratulations. And then comes Torun right next, and she says, hey, in Norwegian, which is H-E-I, by the way. I wonder if that's maybe why in the upper Midwest we say hey, as in, or hey or heya, as in H-E-Y. Don't know. It's a thing. Ashley's here. Project day making, gotta make and mend clothes. That's a big thing. I need to do that as well. This is my latest screw up. For one, it's just getting regular wear here because in the winter I have a tendency to pull my dresses this way to keep a little bit warm, which means I should probably just make them extra long to begin with, but I didn't make this one. But I got my hand caught in the door, and it went from a little hole like this one. I don't know if you can see it there. Yeah. A little hole like that one to this, because the Norwegian doorknobs look like that. And for some reason I keep getting the sleeve caught on the door every time I try to shut the door. I don't know if I need to let go of the handle a little earlier, but my timing is way off, and that thing does this. I actually, once upon a time, worked at a place that has building materials, and we see a lot of people coming in and asking if we had American doorknobs, and I never really thought about it, but you don't see the twist doorknobs here at all. And I don't actually, I remember looking, and I can't figure out where anybody sells them either. That was probably about 6 or 7 years ago now, so maybe it's different, but anyway, so there's a little trivia for you. American doorknobs are like this. We do have those ones as well, but the Norwegians don't have the knob. Sounded bad. Garcia is here as well. Hey, and Torun says, oh my gosh, you guys are having nice weather. It is actually quite warmer here. The roads closed last night. The mountains closed, but after I came over, because up until, from the east, all the way up until I get to the top of the mountain, it was going from a lot of rain to just turning into snow. but it was fine until the other half of the mountain going down. Then it turned into wind combined with that as well. And so that means the stuff freezes and becomes black ice. The doorknob thing is probably a safety thing. Maybe that's it. So only the Americans injure themselves. I don't know. To be honest, I think I got my clothes caught on an American doorknob just as easily. So, hey Peruta, by the way. PJ Lightning is here and Nella's here. PJ says, I still have RSI, so I can't null bind, but I'm working on the book again. So here's the, here's an exact, oh, an extract of the scene. I gotta pull this a little closer. PJ says, oh no. I have to get Karl to read this part, I think. Oh no, oh no, oh no. Odnal, I've not seen if I'm saying that right. Whispered, backing further away. Thornwalker, get to the center of the road. Thornwalker, I don't think he's whispering anymore. He shouted his warning forward along the road. All the Kandari within hearing scrambled away from the roadside, leaving just the Tyrians beside the edge. Oh, this is going to be interesting. So maybe the RSI is a good thing because you're being super productive on your book. By the way, if you didn't know, PJ Lightning is an author. You can go on Amazon and you can see the books. There's more than one. Susan Youngman's here from Frankfurt. How's things going in Frankfurt, by the way, Susan? Are you adapting? And do you speak German, or do you have to actually, how much German do you need to get by day to day there? I know that the Germans that we have visiting here, they can speak English, but they prefer to speak German if possible. So I'm kind of curious how it is to be on the other end of that. Garcia says, spinning blue merino, does that count? That counts. And I have to show you my blue wrist warmers I'm still working on, but naturally I don't have them. But yes, it has to have something, the color of the month challenge. So in order to keep up the challenge thing going, we did the stash busting challenge by the end of the year, the last 3 years or so. So this time for the rest of the year, we decided one color a month. I get to pick which color. So last month was brown to start off kind of easy. So for the month of January, you had to make something with brown in it. It can be a big thing, little thing. It doesn't even have to be null binding. You can paint, you can quilt, you can, and it just has to have brown in it. It doesn't have to be pure brown. So there you go. So the goal this month is for February, because it was cold when we started, so I thought blue. So doing blue. And I still have to finish my wrist warmers as well. I was on Instagram for about 5 seconds, and I saw that Kiwi had posted a picture of where she's doing like a weaving technique on the edge of her blue cloak. So you have to see that one if you haven't. It's I've seen Mary Pasana do the same technique. So that I have to see. Who else? Raymond Roberts is here. Ah, welcome. Good morning, sunshine. He's in Australia, so he's upside down. We'll zip through really quick. Heidi Lisa is here. I talked to your brother just before because that's his group that's going in there to have a party, so he says, say hello. So hello from Runa. And then there's Kiwi, which is talking about you, and Karsten and Doro. Hey, from Hamburg. How far are you from Frankfurt? Maybe you need to go and get together with Susan Youngman and Stitch and Bitch for a little bit. That's kind of fun. Pruda says, I've been, oops, too fast. I lost something here. I've been listening to Hofsaga, and the plot revolves around polygamy. What can Karl tell us about the expectations of monogamy in Viking life? We had that conversation, but it's been a long time ago, so I'm definitely going to throw that one at him. Kiwi said she forgot to work on our blue project, but finished the needle-bound sweater this week. Oh, congratulations! I need to spend more time on Instagram now that maybe that I'm here for a week I can. I'm still moving every week. I almost finished going through my attic. 23 years worth of crap in my attic. And fortunately, because we're the first owner, so we'd only put a floor on half of the attic. So, but it's amazing how much crap you can pile on 9 square meters. So I've been doing that and moving it here, not necessarily having gone through it. So now that I'm here, there's a huge pile in the hallway that I have to go through. So there goes my needle binding time. But it'll be worth it to get it done with in the end. Albert says he has a visitor for the weekend. Who? And you're going to Øystein Sunde concert later tonight. I haven't been to a concert in a long time. You're supposed to take me. Petra Omen. Yeah, Max has been reading about the double, what was it, double curl? They called it double curl stitch. Petra Omen, she invented the cross Dalby stitch, which we know as the Dalby stitch that has inspired. Oh, that was the Mayno has the Dalby stitch has inspired her to create it. It's cross Dalby F1. We should try that next week too. Roger's here. Good dog, Roger. And Torben is here. Her only in spirit today. The neighbors came by, having to socialize. They have to socialize, make coffee, etc. Being polite. That's okay. I sent him pictures of Karl drinking yesterday, so Torben will be fine. He drank something called the Sour Susie, and an IPA that Torben thought was like, but the Sour Susie he thought wasn't a normal beer color. And Rhonda's here, and Karin, and more. I'm going to get to this in a bit. Let's do the Dalby thing. I have to just really quick look at the video if I can remember how to do it now. This is the, let's see if I turn it this way. Turn. There. That's the site I use. I have way too many windows open, so. Double curl stitch, sorry. That's the one. But this is Neulakentat.fi. So that's the one I'm going to try. And she does this one as a B1, which means one through the back loop. That's just your connection, though. You can decide. So, and then if I opened up her video, there she shows how she does it. So I just have to reference that real quick because I don't think I've ever made anything in this stitch. And then we'll push this down. So you can see hands. We'll get the needle binding out of the way before Karl shows up. Let's see, do I have my sound off so I don't have to listen to it? So you're going to work with 3 loops, a bit like Mammon or Corgan. Yeah, okay. Then I'll stop that. Okay, so we have to start with 3 loops. So again, if you haven't seen how I start, it doesn't matter how you start, just get going, because you can always cut away the start. There. So that's how I do that. But I want 3, so 1, go behind everything. Now I have 2. Thanks, Prue, to put the link up if you can't see it. I managed to needle bind around the gimbal. Not sure how I managed to do that, but there. I think I got it fixed now. Have to find the end again. I found a blanket that has less reindeer fur attached to it now. I see I got a little knot on my yarn too. I'm just going to pull it tight because this is just a sample. I hate it when I do that. Okay, so that's 2. And I need a 3rd one. Hey, it's Elf. Yeah, it has been a long time. Welcome back. No, still doing it. We're at week 153 now. It's like therapy at this point to come and hang out with you guys. I like it. Makes me feel normal. Okay, so we had 2 behind the thumb and 1 on the thumb. Or if you're one of those that likes to start with 2 on your thumb, then you do 1 from here and then 1 back. So, or 2 away. So we have those 2, but if I remember correctly, it was this first one. You go back through and under it. So it looks kind of like that. And then finish off like you would the finished stitches. Oh, I can feel that knot in my yarn. It's driving me nuts. Okay, so now it's kind of lays differently in the back, just like Dalby would. So you have to take the one on the, I think it's the right. Yeah. If I tighten this, if I can find out which one it is, then it's this loop. I should have tried this before I got here, but it should be, no? Which one is it? This one. It looks like it's in the middle for me, though. Oh, no, it should be the one on the left. Anyway, we'll try the one on the left and see how it goes. Oh, yeah, and then you have to go under again. And then through. This isn't my favorite needle, but it is a nice one. It's juniper, by the way. It's just because I would prefer it a little bit flatter, and this is a little on the round side, but I like the curve. Do any of you have juniper needles? I have a feeling I'm taking the wrong behind loop. I might have to watch that video one more time. Let's see. Yeah, no, I don't think it's getting tighter and tighter, so I think I'm taking the wrong loop on the back. Pruda says, I need my Garth card revoked. There's no black thread in my sewing kit. Oh, that's it. We're going to have to do black next month, maybe. Just no, I'm just kidding. You have to do, black is an evil color to do for needle binding. Let's see. I have to watch her video one more time to see how she did it. The one, she does them in Finnish first, and then she does it in English, so you kind of have to find the right spot in the video. It goes twice, though, at least. Let's see. There. Oh, no, it looks like she's grabbing the one all the way on the right. Okay. I'll try it again. But I'm going to get rid of that because everything's lined up wrong. Now this is, I have 2 needles of juniper and a Dealgan type spindle made of single piece juniper. Oh, nice. Juniper it's such a pretty wood and it smells nice. I just did something very wrong. I didn't, what is it with me and knots today? See if I can figure out where was my... There we go. Now I got it on the right spot. Okay. Fucked it up. Doing it again. If all else fails, just start over. It's better than trying to figure it out. The knot gods are testing me. No, just so you know, I'm an expert. I'm perfect. Bow down to me and admire my perfection. That's right. I am an expert. I don't know if I really like the title expert, but okay, 2 away. But this first one, behind your loop anyway, this first one, that one you go underneath one more time. My advice when you're making Russian stitches in Nalbinding, says Max, is that you always pick the one on the right after you picked up the loop. If you're doing dollar knot, it's the one on the left, but this one, yeah, I think it's the right loop. Because if I tighten this one, it's that one that goes, the one that goes tighter is the one previous to it, so. I just didn't realize in the video that it wasn't quite obvious to the world until I had it on my thumb that it is actually a little trickier. Because when you are going, when you have it flat, you're working from outer in. But when it's on your thumb, it's harder to see what it looks like flat. But when I get a couple in, I can show you. But this is rolling better than the other ones now. Oops, I bumped the gimbal. The loops. The infinity, oh God. I'd love to get a juniper and aspen needle. This one was Runa that made this one, actually. Heidi's brother, Runa Liset. So we can ask him. I don't know if he's got, it depends if he's got juniper. The thing is, I guess when, because I'm an expert needle maker, no, I don't think I've made a needle out of anything other than a popsicle stick. But those who make the wooden needles say that the wood has to be extremely dry, and sometimes it takes up to 3 years to dry the wood out, if that makes sense. Because if you don't, your needle might split. See, there's that annoying knot that I'm trying to pretend doesn't exist. Let's see. I see why she had to pick that needle out, or that knot out in the video, because it's, you kind of got to pull it up before you use it. Let's see, do one more or something, or get past that annoying knot. There. But yeah, I'm choosing the one, this is going better. I'm taking the loop that tightens if I pull the second one. So now we have that annoying knot closer out of the way. Ah, thank you. It's a nice needle. I don't know. I think it's the roundness that has me not using it too often. But I think I left my current project with the blue yarn on it in the car. I saw that I sold a wrist warmer last week too, so I should make those done. I'm making wrist warmers out of Dollarna. It's either in the car or it's in the office. I can't remember. So does anybody else have like a winter break or vinterferie? I know that Bergen side, or the west side of Gudvangen, which is where I'm at now actually, west side of Gudvangen, or west side of Norway, I mean, doesn't have winter vacation until the week after the east. It's kind of hard to pick out that, or twist my arm that far back to show it, so I hope you can see it. Okay, let's see what this looks like. This is called the double curl. And, oh, it's kind of cool. Stretch. I got the ugly start. Actually, my ugly start doesn't look too ugly. So that's the front, or the side facing. And, oh, the back kind of looks a little bit like Dalby, too. Little different. Bruce says we get 2 measly days off next week. Oh, that's horrible. Even the United States, when they have winter vacation, they get, or maybe maybe they have Christmas vacation. I think then they get spring break and they get 2 weeks off. So this is what I meant when counting backwards. So this, if you look here, this is the first loop from the end. This one goes on your thumb. That one. This is the second loop from the end. So this is the one we're taking and ultimately twisting that way. And then the third loop, the one I'm trying to find on the back, would be, let's see, 1, 2, 3. But you're picking it up from over here. So you can also pull on that one to see. So if that makes sense anyway, when you're working loops, the first loop is on your thumb, second loop is the first one behind your thumb you take, and then the third one is the one that I'm looking for. But it looks quite cool. Heidi Lee said, Vinterferie Trøndelag, yeah. Oh, the dog drukner vi snør. Did you get a lot of snow? They're drowning in snow over there. So I'm, to get a little bit of nostalgia, I'm listening to KQDS, which is a radio station in Duluth that I used to listen to all the time before I moved over to Norway. It's classic rock, kind of fun. But I'm having a ball listening to the commercials and the news, or in the daytime talk show people or whatever. They're explaining things that I completely forgot about, like there's a gale warning on the lake this evening. I can't remember the last time I had to think about gales, so that was kind of a fun one. There's a rather famous boat that Gordon Lightfoot sang about called the Edmund Fitzgerald. That was one that was a big ship that was cracked and now lies at the bottom of Lake Superior due to November gales. I think it was November. There was another one when in 1985 or something like that, or maybe 87. There was a boat, sea ship called Socrates, and that one was blown ashore, and it took like, I don't know, a week or so to get it off, to get it back out into the water again, because it was like barely, I don't know, it took a lot. Anyway, so we get some pretty strong winds there. One thing that does happen every year is the ice on the lake. It will not freeze completely. It's too big, Lake Superior. But the wind will lift up the ice and throw it against buildings, and it'll be just like bombing a building. It'll put holes right through it. So there you go. Gale warning. Sorry, my internet link seems to be doing something funny, but it let me reconnect. No, but it's a really good song. Edmund Fitzgerald, or the Fitzgerald, I think it's called, or the Edmund Fitzgerald by Gordon Lightfoot. It's on YouTube. You can see it. I think there was some 60 seamen who died on that one. Oh, yeah, so then they're talking about the snow. They're going to have about 2 feet of snow, and the first thing they ask is not about complaining that they're going to get snow or blah, blah, blah. It's okay, is this like the wet snow, or the light snow, or the heart attack snow? And the funny thing is, I know what heart attack snow is. It's the kind that gives you a heart attack when you have to shovel it. That looks like I'm doing all right. Might have a hiccup there, but it might just not been pulled tight there. No, I think I might have a hiccup there. Oh, no, that's where that knot is, that annoying little knot. Hey, Karen, you were my inspiration to get into kayaking, says Roger. Yep. That's good to hear. I love kayaking, but, Roger's from Huntington Beach, California, so you have no excuse not to get in the water, in my opinion, unless maybe there's a big shark or something. Did you know we have killer whales in the fjord out here. I don't see them too often, but there's a couple places that catch it on video that are tourist places out here that do rib boating. Hey, Karl. I thought that was, maybe that's not Karl. But I think the only thing you have to worry about in Lake Superior are sea lamprey. But yeah, I used to be a whitewater rafting guide back in the day when I had a different body. And that's actually what ruined my wrists. The paddle that I used for kayaking, because it was 9 hours a day. And in the winter, I would teach people how to roll their kayak without a paddle and with a paddle in a swimming pool at the university. But my paddle was too heavy, and nobody realized that you could get carpal tunnel those days from something as simple as a paddle being too heavy. You'd think it would come from guitar playing or piano playing or computer, but not quite anything repetitive motion. Okay, so now to go B1, I like this stitch. It's kind of flat and dense. So I'm glad you like kayaking. Roger's really good at being outdoors. So B1, normally now when you're going to do F1, just like crochet, you're going to connect to the top of these stitches here. That's F1 because you're taking one new one from the front. If you're going to do F2, then you take one new one and one that's already been done before from the front. But this is B1, so we're going one new one from the back. So I'm at the end. I'll make it a little bit. I like that Nylock and Tot Sana does this on the end one. She'll take a little extra just for the very end one, so I'll take two there. And then you do your stitch as normal. It's a little hard to see this through a camera. But I'm liking this stitch, this double curl stitch. I think I have to make, I think it'd make great wrist warmers. My yarn looks kind of blue on screen, but it's actually green. Okay, so that was B1, and now we go to the next one. I see a reindeer fur here. It's a curse in this village, you get reindeer fur and everything. B1, and then you continue. Oh, that's why I keep hearing people coming through the door. They're coming for the party in the hall. There, and then B1. There. And then I'll catch up on chat in a minute. And when Karl gets here, I'll just keep doing this. I might have wanted chose a slightly thinner needle just for the feel of it. Oh, I have to keep remembering back one. Robert says, I believe the Vikings consider blue and green to be shades of the same color. Good question, actually. There's definitely a blue hue to this yarn, though. It's not quite teal. It is actually, maybe it's a teal, but it's a very light teal. Let's see if I get the bigger skein of it. You can see it. The thing is, this yarn has been living in my attic for ages, and it might just be me, but I think old wool yarn that has been in the attic for a while is excellent for needle binding. I don't know why. Maybe it's because it's a little bit felted. But so yarn that you get at wool yarn that you can buy at a secondhand market or something, or reclaimed wool can be really cool to needle bind with, in my opinion. Reclaimed meaning you had something that was made out of it and you just ripped it up to use the yarn again. So B1 usually will make a bit of a ridge on the backside. Yeah, I used it in the mystery on Instagram when the Nalbinding a mystery for COVID. Spoiler alert, it's a toilet bag. A bag to keep your toilet paper in because COVID. But I used B1 on the row at the base so that it would have a ridge that showed, that ridge should be on the front actually. So it would bend easier, just like crochet. If you crochet through if you connect through the back loop, it will sit flat like that. And I see it's doing it here too if I wanted it to. And Moreau made it just in time for me to do this weird stitch. I like it. So yeah, as Max wrote further up, it was somebody named Petra, I think, who had invented it, according to Sana. That's where she had learned about it, at least. But I gotta say, I get a lot of knitters in my needle binding groups, in my needle binding classes that will want to do something like that too. to twist the yarn through like that, like you would, or crochet. Not front. I know. See, I'm perfect. Watch it. I'm an expert. I'm an expert. I know what I'm doing. No, my hands always want to do Oslo. Okay, there. Back one. Second loop and the third loop, which I'm picking up on the right side for this one. And then you kind of wrap the second loop around again before going under everything. So maybe we're going to have to next year, not this year because I don't have time. Next year, when we're done with the color challenges, either we do the color challenge one more time or we do a stitch challenge. Make something with a certain stitch. And then we'll be cruel and we'll start off the month with like Omani, which I still have to get a little test going, but that one's going to take some more prep time. Unfortunately, I get done working on Saturdays at 6 o'clock and we start YouTube at 6 o'clock. It's my boss who's nice enough to let me have 15 minutes to get ready. So sometimes I have my stuff together and sometimes I do not. I think picking the back loop might have been an easier thing with the weaver's needle, the skinnier one. But it's working. No, I like this stitch. It looks quite cool. It says it. I get what you say when you say it's she does the cross knit Dalby one as well, Sid Max, because this one does have a bit of a Dalby feel to it. But even though that the twist is like on the second loop instead of the first. Yeah, I agree with you, Karin. Okay, it is a neat looking stitch. I kind of like it. I'm excited to see what the third row will look like. I'm kind of regretting that I made a small thing. It'll be a napkin holder. Okay, anyway, I'm going to go and grab Karl, and then we're going to throw some fun questions at him. The trick is to either stump Karl with a stupid Viking question, a tough Viking question, or just frustrate the hell out of him, because that's funny. This was the back side, by the way, when I get a little bit further in. Somebody is revving their engine outside the door. I like both sides. Okay, I will let you look at that and admire Juniper. I'll be right back. Hey, Karl! Come play! All right, and then I have to end this video that I started so it doesn't pull on my internet like the last one did. And there, now I can read chat more so I can catch up on other chat. There, forehead. Peruta has a question for you already. Do you want to start with a topic of your own or do you want to go straight to the questions?
Yeah, I can go straight to the question.
Straight to the question. Okay. It's Karl. Karl's not wearing a hat today. Okay. Let's see, I have to go way up. I've been chatting, but I haven't been looking at chat too closely. PJ put an excerpt from her book, from the book in there. I think you need to read that too, by the way. First, Karl has to reenact PJ's book. This involves reading. Okay. Working on my book again. Here is an extract from the scene. Start there. You have to reenact this.
I'm not good at reading.
I don't care. You're getting old, Karl. We have to squint.
Oh no, and Doral whispered, backing further away. Thornwalker, get to the center of the road. Thornwalker! He shouted as he shouted his warning forward along the road. All the Kandari within Herning scrambled away from the roadside, leaving just the Tyrannas beside the edge. And well, as I said, I'm not good at this. So
Nope, but we'll get you to practice that one. I think you need to do audiobooks.
Yeah, no, I really don't think I'm going to do that.
No, but if you practice it, because you never know how to pronounce those words. Like Thornwalker or Tornwalker, yeah. Okay, Prudence, question for Karl. Where was it? There it is. I've been listening to a half saga and the plot revolves around polygamy. What can Karl tell us about the expectations of monogamy in the Viking life? We have talked about this, but it's been a long time ago.
For some reason, this is controversial. I don't really understand why, because there is a lot of literal evidence and some archaeological evidence. But it very much seems that at least male polygamy, that a man is married to multiple women, seemed to have been a fact of life in the early Viking Age. It looks like it stabilizes to one man, one wife when you get a little bit into the Viking Age. But Harald the Fine, the first king of Norway, had a bunch of wives. He had to divorce the first 6 to marry the 7th. And with that and concubines, you are basically, what should you say, wives with restricted rights. Male polygamy seems...
Polygamy?
Yeah.
Polygamists?
Definitely seems to have been a thing.
He's not reading today.
It's... this is a little bit more tenuous, I think. Ahmed Ibn Fadlan says, well, that's not tenuous, that's probably correct from his perspective. He is talking about the Rus, the river Vikings. And he says that each of them marry multiple wives according to their means. Basically, rich people have more wives. The thing that is tenuous that people have been speculating about is that because there is probably already a selection towards having male offspring instead of female. So there is some archaeological evidence of malnutrition being more prevalent in women than it is in men. So fewer women grow up. So there is already a gender imbalance there. And then if the rich man run away with all the women, you get a further imbalance. So you end up with a lot of young men that has no prospects of getting a mate unless they become basically the upper class, and one way to do that is to go to Ireland, steal a lot of silver and come back and buy a nice farm.
Armed Nordic tourism.
Alternately, you can just cut out the middleman and pick up a wife while you are in Ireland. So at least male polygamy
Male polygamy?
Seems to have been a thing.
Yeah. Did you have more?
No, I think that would answer the question.
I'll take it one step further. Homosexuality in the Viking Age.
The short answer, it's complicated. The long answer is that the Vikings kind of distinguish between the active and the passive part. Being the passive part, being the guy who is used as a woman, that would not be considered honorable, because you are basically surrendering to another man, which you shouldn't be doing by Viking warrior culture. The guy who is doing the active part, preferences.
Wasn't there a rune stick there, something that said that I put it in somebody's dirty backside?
Yes, but the rune sticks are medieval. So in a medieval context, that would be obviously an insult. He's not bragging about it. He's basically saying, this guy is my bitch. He's bragging about it, but it's not...
unwashed backside, that's what it was.
Yeah, and he didn't say, I did it. He said somebody else did it behind the church. So very obviously medieval.
On a rune stick, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, see if I can find some more here. By the way, I noticed that when I am not hugging a gimbal, so when I was needle binding before, I'm doing this, and it's kind of hard to twist around to see the back side of my hand, but I noticed that when I am not hugging the gimbal, finding that loop in the behind, finding the loop, the second loop that I needed to go through on the back side there is actually much easier when it's not hugging a gimbal.
Apparently it's behind the church.
It's behind a church. Is it unwashed?
Well, have you watched it recently?
Why would you want to? Yeah. Anyway, you just really, if you really need it, I guess there you go.
Yeah, but I think that rune stick is a straight up insult.
I think it's supposed to be an insult too. What other rune sticks say? Do you remember from that book we were looking at, or any others from other books?
They are medieval, so it's basically in and out for me. I listen to it and find it fascinating, and then I forget all about it because it's not part of what I'm focusing on.
Okay, fine. I took you to a later age. see, 1 minute. I have to. That little curl bit where you whip around the second part, that is a little tricky. It's almost easier for me to take that off my hand to do that. Like, take it off, wrap it around, and then put it back on again. I don't know. I'm getting used to this. I have definitely not done this stitch before, though. My hands don't remember this one. It's cool, though. Okay, let's see. Different things that people have made needles from. This is quite interesting. And Raymond said that he worked with black yarn, and everyone's agreeing with him. What were you thinking? He had to use a lot of light, and yeah. No, that's there's a lot of love in anybody who makes anything with black yarn. But bright colors work well. Another one is multicolored yarn. As far as shifting yarn sometimes help too, because you can see each stitch, the motion of each stitch. Oh, and how has our Valentine's Day been, asked Max. What did you do for Valentine's Day? We don't really celebrate Valentine's Day.
No, we don't really.
What is Norway's view on Valentine's Day, you Norwegian?
We really don't have one.
No. It's, I know that they want it because then people in Norway have to buy stuff.
Well, yeah, the shops want it to be a thing.
Yep.
And I've had a lot of success with Halloween when it comes to the American holidays.
Yeah, and Halloween's picked up in the 25 years I've been here.
I don't see much movement on the Valentine's Day front.
I did.
Compared to Americans, Norwegian people are kind of shy when it comes to public shows of affection. So, this is my girlfriend type of thing is not something Norwegian people commonly do.
Learn. No, I'm just kidding. You have to claim your territory. No, actually, there's, well, I'm not big on flowers. I think get a plant because the flowers are just going to die or something. Anyway, but my ex-husband and I were married for 15 years, or, well, we were together for 15 years anyway. We would just make sure whatever we did, we watched a movie or something that was, okay, we're both off the computers, we're doing something together. Didn't matter what it was, but didn't do the gift thing. Can't be asked to do the gift thing. And in the last 14 years, I've had a kid in the picture, 2 kids in the picture, and they are also born on Valentine's Day. So, and when they were born, actually, apparently Mother's Day is around the Sunday of that as well. So they were born on I think they were born on a Saturday anyway, and the next day was a Sunday, which happened to be Mother's Day in Norway. So I had like extra flowers, and I couldn't figure out why they were giving me 2 sets of flowers. And it's a Mother's Day thing. So Mother's Day in Norway is on a different day. I'm not used to celebrating that because in the United States in May, I think, or something. But it's much later, so it just kind of seems weird. But also it crashes with my kid's birthday, and so does Valentine's Day. So it's more important for me, I think, to celebrate the kids. But I would usually get my kids a little something, because that was actually something we did in the United States. You would give a Valentine's Day card to your kids, or maybe a little piece of jewelry or something silly, that kind of thing. So I would get my kids a little necklace, but I've been instructed not to buy them one more damn heart-shaped necklace, or they'll be very disappointed. But I had one of the kids with me. The other one was out with her father or her friends. So we went to the mall, and she had her little shopping spree. It's her golden birthday, for turning 14 on the 14th. So she got a little extra money. And as we're shopping, we see people running all over the place with flowers in their hands or candy and stuff. So apparently it's picking up, at least in Ski, which is spelled S-K-I, the city, the closest city to me that has a bigger mall. But everybody's buying flowers left and right. And then we went to the restaurant to go have sushi because it's her favorite food. And there's little teenage couples sitting here and here and here and here. And I was like, oh, look at that. They're kind of cute. There's a bunch of them out today. And she's like, Mom, it's Valentine's Day. Oh, yeah.
It's kind of weird because young Norwegians are basically Americans who speak funny.
Yeah.
Because they get so much of their cultural influence over the internet.
They learn by YouTube, yeah. So and that was another thing. We were talking to my mother on the phone. Her birthday was the week before. And Cecilia wanted to know if she had a Norwegian dialect. Because she likes to make. If you've ever heard the leader of the UN? No. What does Jens Stoltenberg do? What is his title? I'm so horrible at this.
Leader of NATO.
Leader of NATO. That's it. Yeah. Okay.
Or
So he's speaking a lot nowadays due to the whole Ukraine thing. But he has the perfect. I mean, maybe you watch Vikings TV series or whatever, but Jens Stoltenberg has the typical Norwegian dialect when speaking English, and it is so thick. So my kid likes to make fun of, Jens Stoltenberg, when speaking to English.
And he's not even close to the worst. We have had prime ministers, well, practically all of them. I think the last one before him was pretty good, but before that it's been Norglish.
A lot of Norglish.
That
Norwegian
is,
English,
if you write out what they are saying, it's correct. But the accent is so thick. I am the Prime Minister of Norway. And I'm coming here to this diplomatic event to basically try to instruct them that maybe it's better to talk about things than to shoot each
it's
other.
better to talk about things.
If you do that too much, it's on Swedish.
Yeah, I know, but that's the thing. The Swedes are more, you're sing-songy, but the Swedes are really sing-songy in comparison. Because it's, similar language.
Most accurately portrayed on the Muppet Show.
Yep. So there you go. Look up Jens, Jens Stoltenberg on YouTube or something like that. You can hear the dialect. It's kind of funny. So my kid was asking if she speaks. I gotta finish the story. If she speaks with a dialect, and my mom was like, "No, I don't hear any dialect." And I keep telling her, "You don't have a dialect. You speak YouTube."
Well,
You have a YouTube
everybody
dialect.
has a dialect. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even pure spoken bokmål would be a dialect.
Yeah.
Uh,
She's got my dialect though, for the most part, the Minnesotan. But Minnesota. Anyway, you were saying before I interrupted you with the rest of my story. Jens Stoltenberg dialect.
no, and, it's
No?
it's textbook English, but the accent comes through so strongly. And if you want to see something even worse than Stoltenberg, go and look for old tapes of Thor Heyerdahl, the Norwegian explorer.
How do you spell Tor?
archaeologist.
T-O-R or T-H-O-R? Hi, Rena. Oh, you have to say hi, your sisters. Your sister's here. It's he's up there somewhere. Did he give you a hug? Are you going to go party?
Yes.
You got your gear on? I can't make the gimbal work for me.
Hi.
They miss you. Are you going to come and play music for us one day?
Huh?
Are you going to come and play music for us one day? You're a Viking with headphones. I just noticed.
Yeah. And maybe.
Yeah?
We'll see.
Okay. Have fun. There. Da-da-da. Okay. Yeah, Tor. How do you spell Tor? Heimdall?
Heyerdahl.
Heyerdahl.
I honestly don't know.
And what's so unique about his...
No, it's the same thing, just really pronounced.
Yeah? Can you mimic him?
No, it's what I did, but
Oh, okay.
it might be even stronger than that.
Yeah.
I was coming over the Pacific Ocean on my little balsa fleet. Type of thing.
Balsa fleet?
He crossed the Pacific on a balsa fleet.
What's a balsa fleet?
He has this theory that I think now is pretty much the theory that all archaeologists go with of how civilization spread. And his first idea was that people from South America spread civilization to Polynesia. So he made the Kon-Tiki fleet and he sailed across a big chunk of the Pacific on the Kon-Tiki.
We had to watch that in high school.
Then he tried to prove that civilization originally came to South America from Africa or the Middle East. So he made the Ra fleet, which is based on depictions from, I believe, Egyptian tombs. But the first one, he dropped one rope. It was supposed to have a rope from the back end of the ship that was basically pulled the back end back down again. I don't know why they dropped that rope, but what happened was that that was made out of papyrus, I think. I don't remember exactly.
Papyrus?
But it started to suck in water, and then the tail started to bend backwards until the entire boat broke apart. So he made another one called the Ra 2, or Ra the second, and then he managed to do the expedition properly. This is all during the Cold War, and his last expedition was the Tigris. The Tigris was basically a river ship that he was going to. I don't know what he was trying to prove. He might just have gotten addicted to rafts at this point. But his idea was to basically sail around with the Tigris in the areas of the Middle East with multinational crew with an American, a Russian, and an Egyptian, and himself as a Norwegian, and basically show that people could work together. But the problem is that because of the eternal conflicts you have in the Middle East, every place he tried to land the boat, they had a problem with at least one of the crew members. So it's like, yep, no, it's fine, but you can't bring the Russian. Yep, no, it's fine, but the American has to stay on the boat. And he gets more and more annoyed by this, and in the end he just puts fire to the boat as a basic demonstration that he is fed up. He was, towards the end of his life, he was kind of dabbling in the Viking Age. He is, I don't agree with him on this one, but he is one of the people who think that Odin was a historical figure who basically traveled from southern Eastern Europe and up to the North region.
I was just, we had to, yeah, there was a documentary or something made about the Kon-Tiki, and we had to watch that in school. I don't know if it was grade school or junior high, or there's a museum, and also called the Kon-Tiki Museum, where you can actually see the, I haven't been there in a long time.
The Kon-Tiki and the Ra too.
Is that Ra also there? And that's not
believe so.
that's not far away from the Viking Ship Museum, is it? On Aker Brygge, I think. But the Viking Ship Museum
not on
is...
Aker Brygge, but...
Okay, now that I remember. By the way, the Viking Ship Museum is, or Viking Skiphuset is closed for, they're expanding. So, I don't know when that one's expected to be open. So you'll have to just make do with the Kon-Tiki Museum for a while. I saw some other things in here. Let's see. Where was it? We were talking a little bit about Pring Break. Oh, Vinterferdi and Trøndelag Noia. Oh, they're drowning in snow. I just said that one. Yeah, that was Seidi's Runa's sister. We were talking about the song The Edmund Fitzgerald. Roger's kayaking. I inspired him back when I was of a much different physique. This is what happens when you stop kayaking. Your muscles go in a different direction. Yeah, 9 hours a day. The reason I was kayaking 9 hours a day is because it was a job, whitewater rafting and instructing. And so you would go down the river, you'd follow a group. They would all be in their whitewater rafts down the river, and I have to take a kayak, whitewater kayak, which is shorter and rounder. And anytime they fell out of their rafts, I would have to go and pick them up in my kayak. So, and then you portage back, and you do it again with another group, and you do it again with another group, and it's about 9 hours a day. So that was a fun job for a much younger body. I was 21 at the time, 20 and 21. 19, 20, and 21. Let's see. Oh, Raymond said, I believe the Vikings consider blue and green to be shades of the same color. This is the green that I'm working at. It is a bluish color. You can see it compared to Karl. It's green, but it comes out kind of blue. I think it's teal.
It looks a lot more green in the real life than it looks on
Yeah,
the screen.
but when I compare it to you, which is like a forest green, shirt, tunic, then it can see it. Anyway, so question about the blue and the green.
This is, it's possible.
Shades.
I honestly don't know, because the Vikings, things that we would consider to be black or brown, they occasionally refer to as blue or blue. But I also use that that word about things we know to be blue. So they might have had some kind of collective color blindness. I don't know.
There's more from PJ Lightning on here. You have to read the excerpts
No, there is
after.
no point in having me read.
No, I'm not going to do it because there's
excerpts.
only 5 minutes left. I said telling everybody else they should read it. It's interesting. Blood covered her arms and face now. She was wearing only thin woven trousers and a shirt. But her assault on the thing didn't slow her or hesitate. Let's see. How much has Karl had to drink? Said Prudy. You haven't had anything to drink today.
No.
I sucked you into 2 beers yesterday. I was talking about that one. The Sour Susie. Sour Susie was the yellow can with the mermaid.
That one was a little bit overly lemony.
Yeah, is that why it was called the Sour Susie?
Yeah, and also it looks very recycled.
Ew. And Torben's back, by the way. He was probably back for a while now. Oh, yes, Max said, I heard that the LGBTQ culture has been around for thousands of years, even in the Viking culture. You want to say anything about that?
Well, people will act in accordance with their preferences, no matter what society has to say about that matter. And different societies say different things about that matter. I don't think the modern LGBT community would be happy in a Viking society, to put it
No?
kind of mildly. But I would be happy they were not in England at the same time.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate?
Well, it is. You have gender roles that are kind of as cut with a knife. Uh, in some areas, when it comes to doing things that is considered to be in the purview of the other gender, women have it a little bit freer than men. They won't be made fun of for acting like a man in most contexts. But when it comes to infidelity, men can pretty much do whatever they want, and women will be held to a very high standard of fidelity. If you have a homosexual couple, basically two men that are having sex with each other, then it would be, as long as they're consistently doing it the same way all the time, then one of them could be just fine, and the other one would be considered argy. That is being the passive party in this kind of thing. Argy basically means that you are not really a man. You're not really a woman either. You are a man who acts like a woman, so you will not be treated as a man. That's one of the insults you have to avenge with blood, because if somebody says that you are argy and you don't kill them, then it's obviously true. Because a woman wouldn't kill him, type of thing. People have a tendency to look at the Viking Age through our modern perspective and then rose-color it from here to Kingdom Come. Almost everything. And I am a big fan of the Vikings, so I can come up with several exceptions, but almost everything has gotten a lot better since the Viking Age.
Yeah. Because we're running on time, we're gonna probably hit a couple minutes over here. There was a good question in here. This one might be more local, but okay. So in the movie The Mighty Ducks, which is a hockey team in California, I think.
Sounds like a question for
Anaheim Mighty Ducks, yeah. Anyway, when Hans dies, the players touch the ice as a Norwegian, quote unquote, sign of respect. This is a true fact. We do that in Duluth. Is a huge hockey city. If you want to encourage someone to get back up again or give them a cheer for doing so, then you smack your hockey stick on the ice in unison. Dunk, 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 dunk. But to touch the ice, yeah, that is a sign of respect. Is that a Norwegian thing too, or?
I don't know. It might be a Norwegian hockey thing, in which case I would know nothing about it.
Shame
But I don't remember any ice touching traditions in Norway. As a general rule, most Norwegians are sensible enough to try to avoid touching ice because you get cold on your hands if you do that.
Or you fall down. Now I grew up watching hockey games every week. We'd go see the UMD Bulldogs, University of Minnesota Duluth Bulldog hockey team playing. And they were really quite good. But yeah, if they wanted to cheer someone on, they'd all stand in a line and bang their hockey sticks onto the ice to kind of do that. Okay, so that was a good question. Prude said as well. She wrote, good question, elves. Okay, so in the movie The Mighty Ducks, when Hans... Oh, she repeated it for me so I'd see it, which is good. That's why we have a moderator. Oh, there's a lot of fun stuff in chat. You have to look. I like the Swedish Chef reference in there. Rudy, Rudy. And Kiwi posted photos of the needle-bound sweater on the Facebook group. I am going to catch up. I was only on Instagram for about a half a second anyway, and I saw one of the first things came up as, have you seen this blue thing that Kiwi is working on with the weaving? So I will have to see. Okay, ice touching sounds like a good way to get frostbite, says Raymond. I think you're on the same hockey team as Karl. Are there hockey traditions in Norway? You're
really
so big
know.
into sports.
Norway, I have a very little idea about sports. Ice hockey doesn't seem to be that big in Norway. I can name like one Norwegian hockey player. There are several teams, but it seems to be more of a Swedish and Canadian thing.
I would think, speaking from where Nell's coming from in Finland, though, actually, yeah, Finland, United States, and Canada are huge when it comes to hockey. Russia's also big on hockey.
I kind of like. I don't really pay attention to any kind of sports, but if I have an opportunity to sit down and watch a hockey game between Sweden and Canada, I always do, because these super polite, borderline pacifistic countries, for some reason, get super militant and try to murder each other when you give them skates, sticks, and a little puck.
By the way, your counterpart, the beer drinking critic Torben Norwegian, says plenty of hockey in Norway. So you're just stuck under a Viking.
Yeah,
still.
it's very well possible.
You're stuck under a
But
rune stick.
I also generally I ignore sports very hard to begin with. But any sports where Sweden is markedly better than Norway, I will ignore extra hard.
Okay, but here's something I gotta actually agree with Kiwi on this one. We rarely see hockey mentioned in Norwegian sports news, so it doesn't seem to be very popular. So you can't get through a half an hour of the news in Duluth without hearing about hockey.
No, yeah.
So that actually is true. I haven't seen too much of it in the news. Okay, to wrap up, let's see. Turn this down again. Okay, so here is my sample. It looks pretty good, except I have mistakes in this. This reminds me of a very first needle binding that I actually made to be sent. I like the stitch. I like the way it looks. This is what happens when you screw up the loops. Do you see it? So either I didn't go through the back loop on this one, which I don't think is the case. I think I took the wrong loop from behind the thumb, and that happens. Thank God this is a sample. Otherwise, it's a really good place to cut it in half. But it's kind of cool, and it's very flat. Like it's got a similar density to Dalby, which I kind of like, but a little bit extra tight in the middle there. But this is the right side, looking towards you. Ignore my mistake there because I'm perfect. We've already established that I'm an expert. So this is not an accident. This is an intended accident. I mean, an extended mistake to show you what would happen if you. No, it's a screw up. There you go. And then if I take the wrong side, it looks like that. And then my my intended mistake for demonstration purposes is a little less obvious, but it's right there, I think. Or is it there? I don't know. That's pretty good if I have to look for it. Anyway, it's really quite cool. It does look a little bit like Dalby with a twist. But this one was called the double curl, if I think. Let me just look at it. Double curl stitch, but B1 connection, one through the back loop connection. Wrong side and right side. So maybe we'll have to do like stitch challenges next year. So you have all this time to play with different stitches, and then we'll do like the stitch of the month or something. Anyway, put it back on you. Oops, we're looking at the ugly chairs. There we go. And now it's Karl slamming a nice coffee. So next week, same time, Saturday. Do you want to talk more about crowns next week? Or is that a quick conversation?
Yeah, it's not.
Because we were talking about
it's
crowns
not really
last
that quick because I have to speculate a lot. But
Okay.
there is at least some fairly strong circumstantial evidence for the use of crowns. Not directly from the Vikings, but people they are so much in contact with that probably towards the end of the Viking Age, the Norwegian kings would probably wear crowns. At least for the coronation, if on no other occasion. You have sources referencing the coronation of Otto II, who was one of their enemies. And you also, on the Bio tapestry, you'll see Harald Gudvangen wearing a crown when he is crowned King of England. So that is somebody the Vikings would actually deal with, and there would be people from Scandinavian descent showing up at his coronation and seeing it. So most likely the contemporary king of Norway, Harald Harada, would probably wear a crown on his coronation. But this is a pretty active guy, so I don't think he was wearing it on a day-to-day basis, so to speak.
Should we go more into that next week too, or remind
I
me?
don't know if there is anything much more to say.
No.
It's just me kind of changing my answer from last week. Because last week I was more certain that I didn't do it than I am now. No, I'm starting to lean towards, yeah, probably at least for the purpose of the coronation. I don't remember any particular references to the coronation of Norwegian kings at this time. But if the Holy Roman Empire, Emperor and King of the English makes a big production out of it, the Vikings would do that too, almost certainly.
I think homework for next week. There was something I was going to ask him about, but didn't have time today. It was Ätterstup.
Yeah,
It sounds
I have
Swedish when I say
already
it. Äta
checked.
means to eat, but
It is Swedish and it's dumb. It's not,
it is actually the word is Swedish. Ätterstup.
Yes.
Okay, so we'll have to no, but they can
I
look it up and we
can-
can leave them hanging.
I can go into that next time. It's
Yeah, no, it's a big
kind of,
conversation. But you can look up and see what it is and see and gather some questions. The sillier, the better.
But it's almost certainly not Viking. But the reason people think it is Viking is funny, so I'll tell the story next time.
And if you want to know a little bit more about that, on the Viking Valley Facebook page, I shared a post that Visit Sognefjord did referring to us, and they mentioned a little bit of it there, so you can see. And by the way, I agree with you. I think the back of the stitch looks much better than the front of the stitch on there. And yes, as Raymond says, it's very important to include a mistake. To seek perfection is an insult to the crafting gods. That's why I did it. I'm an expert. Okay, anyway, we'll see you on Saturday. And at the stoop. Maybe. Okay, bye. Thanks for playing with us. Oop, there.